If you need some help with late round picks, we've got you covered right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. And some early sleepers, some hidden gems for you. I'm Adam Azer with Jamey Eisenberg. What's up, Jamey?
How are you?
Yeah, not great, but under the weather. Let's talk about these hidden gems. Give me a name to kick it off.
So let's go by position, just make it easy. And I think at quarterback, it's always in your best interest, as we saw with somebody like Matthew Stafford, even Sam Darnold, some of these veteran quarterbacks that people sort of overlook on draft day, Baker Mayfield 2 years ago, they end up being very good fantasy quarterbacks when things are going in their favor. And in the drafts that we've done so far, you just continue to see some of these guys just slip through the cracks, understandably so, because we're all chasing the Jackson Darts, the next Jaden Daniels, all these guys that have, huge upside. Trevor Lawrence is going to be that type of player this year. Justin Herbert's going to be that type of player this year. I think we're going to forget about the Jared Goffs of the world, the Baker Mayfields of the world. Brock Purdy even maybe somebody that you can see, get drafted late. But the couple that stand out to me, Jordan Love, when we saw we saw from him last year, when he was able to throw the ball, he was successful. And I think we're seeing Josh Jacobs playing through knee injury. Love will be somebody I'll be looking to draft a lot of. I think Cam Ward's going to be a great late round pick just because he started to show some flashes at the end of the season and started to pick things up. But quarterback to me is easy. You look for these guys that just continue to fall on draft day, guys that are still in great offenses. It seems like Jared Goff is that guy every year. And I think he'll be another guy this year as well, just given the talent around him and maybe still some of the defensive deficiencies that the Lions are still working through.
I think Mayfield's a great call. There were just so many reasons why things didn't go right for them last year, starting with their left tackle beginning the year on IR and Evans getting hurt, Godwin recovering from this injury and probably not being himself and not playing a full season. And then just missing on some big plays. So things didn't work. They got a new offensive coordinator. Mayfield, I wonder, is it possible in a 12-team league he won't even be drafted? Maybe in our crazy drafts, but
I don't think he did.
I took him in the 14th round, which is the last round. And then Bo Nix was the next pick. And then Sam Darnold was the pick after that. Quarterback's always going to be a good position for late round steals and gems. How about running back?
We talked about one guy briefly on the sophomore running backs that I'm going to take a lot of, and that's Devin Neal, second-year running back for the Saints. Alvin Kamara, a year older. Kendre Miller coming off of an ACL tear, even if he's still going to be on the roster. I'm not sure what his contract situation is. But Neal, showed some flashes last year, and I think this offense continuing to get better. Another quarterback, we should probably mention Tyler Shuck, just the way that he played last season. But that's a running back that I'll be looking at with a late round pick. Depending on what the Titans situation looks like, I'll probably still try and take a flyer on Tyjae Spears. Tony Pollard was good at times last year. Spears did not really do much of anything. But I do think, again, with Brian Daboll there, we know he's used multiple running backs in his past. And I think Spears probably still can have a role as a pass catcher there. But again, I think you're looking at, some of these handcuff situations. I'm going to be very interested in the number 2 running back for the San Francisco 49ers, just because of Christian McCaffrey, all the work that he had this past season, and he'll be 30 in June. So whether that's James, whether that's Garendo, whether they, bring in somebody like they did Brian Robinson, who's a free agent this offseason, that's a team I'll be looking at in terms of who's the number 2 running back there. I'm trying to think just like guys that I'll be, very interested in from a team perspective. Oh, Sean Tucker, that's one for sure. Rachaad White looks like he's going to be gone. Bucky Irving, battled through the shoulder injury, had off-season surgery as well. Sean Tucker is definitely somebody I'm going to be very interested in just to take a flyer on for 2026.
I'll throw Chris Rodriguez there. He was a 14th round pick in the draft that we did a few weeks ago to Jacob. And he was, he basically just won the job over Ja'Cory Cross-Garrett late in the season and was arguably better.
I believe it's free agent, though.
Is he? I'm sorry.
Might be restricted.
If they bring him back, then we'll take a look at Chris Rodriguez, who's definitely going to go later than Ja'Cory Cross-Garrett, even if he's back on Washington. All right, and we're going to take a break and be right back with some wide receiver gems after this. Okay, hidden gems, sleepers at wide receiver.
So this is another spot where I think you're looking at, some guys that are just want to attach yourself to great offenses. This isn't necessarily a great offense, but I'm very intrigued by him. Is Jack Besh. The Raiders, as we know, need some help in the passing game after Brock Bowers. So they tried a bunch of situations last year. Jacoby Myers traded him. Tyler Lockett was brought in. He obviously did not work out there. to the extent I think what Carolina's history has been. But I like Besh coming out of college. I thought he had an opportunity to be a playmaker for the Raiders right away. Took him in a bunch of rookie drafts, so I'm excited to see what he can do. Hopefully with an expanded role. Um, I'm gonna buy back in to a certain extent on Jerry Jeudy, just because I don't think he is as bad as the way that he performed last year. He's already going late in our drafts right now. Um, Again, quarterback will matter there, but I think Jerry Jeudy's worth a late round flyer. Chamari DK, we'll see what the Titans do in regards to the rest of their receiving core, but we saw some flashes from him, big time playmaker, obviously made a lot of plays in special teams. Another sophomore wide receiver as well as Trey Harris for the Chargers. If they don't bring back Keenan Allen, he could be the third guy there behind Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston. And again, expecting a better, more explosive offense with Mike McDaniel calling plays. So that's another guy that I'll be, looking to draft quite a bit of. Trying to think anybody else that stands out.
I know you're a Jalen Coker guy.
Yeah, I don't know how late he'll go, but I think Jalen Coker's got an opportunity to build off what he did at the end of the season, especially if they don't bring in somebody else. Looking at him as a second guy opposite Teteroa McMillan, I'll be excited about that. Want to see what the Saints do also, because opposite Chris Olave, there really wasn't much there. So bringing in Devon Vele, we saw some flashes. He could be a guy that is that big receiver. That may be somebody that Kellen Moore wants to give a few more opportunities to. This guy I'll be drafting a lot of is Torrey Horton, another sophomore wide receiver. So Rashid Shaheed may resign, but if he moves on, Cooper Kupp's going to be 33. I like the setup there for him. And then we got to keep an eye on the 49ers wide receiver situation. My God, they are desperate for playmakers right now. You're talking about Ricky Pearsall, one of significance right now under contract. Assuming they move on for Brandon Ayuk. But Ayuk and Juwan Jennings may not be back. So whoever is the second receiver there for San Francisco, especially with their tight end situation being what it is, that's a position to look at for sure.
Okay, and speaking of tight ends, any sleepers at that position?
Yeah, one of my favorites will probably end up being Mason Taylor. I like what he showed in some flashes last year, so hoping for better quarterback play for the Jets. But we know this is a receiving core also that's definitely in flux after Garrett Wilson. There's not a lot there in terms of consistent production. And Taylor, I think, is somebody battled injuries down the stretch of the season, but somebody that I'm going to be very intrigued about. Another sophomore tight end will be Gunnar Helm, assuming that they move on from Okonkwo. Gunnar Helm showed some flashes last year. Again, different, coaching staff, but a guy I think that Cam Ward can lean on. And then the third-year tight end, I was excited about him last year, but we'll see what happens. But Zach Ertz says he's going to try and play. He is a free agent. I don't think he's going to necessarily have to return to Washington, or that's a player that they're going to have to go out and keep. Ben Sinnott was somebody I like coming out of college. I think there's an opportunity for him in an expanded role, another receiving core that's very depleted in terms of talent right now. I hope Sinnott gets an opportunity to be that playmaker for the Commanders, somebody I'll be taking with a late round pick as well if he's in that starting role.
And Jake Tonjes is a free agent, but I think he's a restricted free agent. So if he's back and Kittle starts the year on IR or PUP, I think Tonjes will be someone that's probably getting drafted in most drafts, even, just to use him because he was really good while Kittle was out. All right, Jamey, thank you very much. That's it for Fantasy Football Today Express. We'll talk to you next time on FFT. See ya.